Folks, welcome back to the Jason Damico Show, and coming at you virtually via Zoom. And our guest, what an honor it is to have him on the show. He's, if you guys are anywhere in the entertainment field or photography field, he needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him a quick one here. He's become one of the most sought-after photographers in the entertainment industry. Among major celebrities, he's been privileged to photograph Michael Jackson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Meryl Streep, Paul McCartney, and many more others, which we'll get into in a second here. And he's also was the official photographer for the Howard Stern book, Private Parts, more than 100 inside photos of Stern. And this later resulted in being featured on E! Entertainment Television in a 1-hour documentary on the making of Stern's movie, Private Parts. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Barry Morgenstein.
Yeah, great to meet you finally.
So, your scope of work is massive. It's monolithic.
I've been doing it a while, so
take a whole series to cover it. But I'm gonna attempt to dabble in bits and pieces. I did a little bit of research and have some bullet points here. So, what I'd love to do is start from your beginning stages, and I know a little bit about your history with music beforehand and playing guitar. I think it's a really interesting story. I'd love for the
sure. That's tell everybody kind of that's what led me to photography is my love for music. I played guitar, probably my late teens, early 20s. I played guitar, but I wasn't very good. I had a passion for it and had the feeling for it, but I knew I wasn't going anywhere with it. I just love music, but I just didn't have the God-given talent. But I was hanging out with musicians. I was in a band. My girlfriend at the time was the singer. So I picked up a camera. I started photographing her, started photographing the guys in the band. And I realized, since through my love of music, I just had a natural eye. I'm like, I can capture these people. Maybe that'll be my way to be in the music business or to stick with music is to hang out with musicians and be able to photograph them. And that's kind of what I did. I got a job with a big rock and roll music photographer as an assistant, worked for him for 2 years, and he started sending me out, shooting concerts and doing studio portraits, and I went on my own, and that's how it got started.
So, major influences for you as far as photography, were there any? I know that you spent some time with Mark for a while back in the college
Yeah, my
days.
influences were probably more older. Like I love, the rock and roll photographers, I guess. Yeah, like the ones in the 60s, like Bob Gruen, who did a lot with John Lennon and stuff like that. Linda McCartney was, to me, like I was like that type of photography was more natural, just capturing people, no wild special effects. I'm more about the feeling of the photos. So I'm not big on effect, like with all colored lights. Just like capturing the musicians, either performing or in the studio, capturing the soul of the musicians. So it was photographers like that. And then I went on to be influenced by portrait photographers like old Hollywood photographer George Hurrell, who did Hollywood in the 30s and 40s, that famous dramatic lighting. Richard Avedon, Herb Ritz, people who just did a lot of black and white stuff and just kind of simple photos.
Yeah. And on that line of thought, I love, and I've seen this quote from you before, and I think it's great that it's included in kind of like your major bio. I feel like capturing the emotion of the moment with a few simple lights is that is just like a great guitarist transmitting emotions through a few simple notes. I think that's so great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the music I love is like blues music or rock and roll, which is more simple.
Yeah.
With a guitar player, I'm not into the fast, flashy guitar solos. I like the slow solos with a lot of feeling and soul to it. And to me, the photography is kind of the same way. I'm not like big on elaborate lights, expensive lighting setups. Just more about me being able to capture the feeling from somebody. And, still flattering lighting, but it doesn't take a lot to get that, I think, technically wise.
And what would you say for you? And I was going to bring this up later, but while we're at it, what would you say is the main difference between a good and great photograph?
Again, I guess it's just kind of if it's of a person, of people, which is my thing. I'm not big with scenery, like Ansel Adams type of thing. which I love, which is not my thing. But with people, again, it's making the people feel comfortable, maybe capturing, to keep repeating that word, but capturing the soul of the person. That I think that's what a great photograph would be, is if you're shooting people.
Right. Right. As far as let's talk a little technical, if you would allow me to.
Yeah.
Like some of the basics: lighting, composition, emotion, framing, vibe, posing, f-stop. These are like just little things I wrote down, but if those trigger any thoughts, as far as,
well, lighting is definitely important. It's not just about feeling. I guess you definitely have to have your lighting down,
right,
and you have to capture your style or whatever too. There are people who just do. If they don't know how to light somebody, then obviously that's going to kill the photo too. So you have to know how to light it, and just get your own style going, and then then you start to bring out the personality once you get the technical part down.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've worked with some major names over the years. I mean, and for those of you that are listening or watching, definitely check out Barry's work, which is all over the place. But so like just some of the portfolio on your website, like SRV, Michael Jackson, McCartney, Chuck Berry, Sting, BB King. I mean, like Steven Tyler, AC/DC. The list goes on and on.
Right.
What's that like? I mean, over the years, like any quick stories, just like anything that really sticks out as far as, I'm sure they're all very memorable.
I was lucky. I met some really great musicians that I idolized. I guess the highlight for me was meeting Paul McCartney, being a big Beatles fan.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I can say on this interview, but
Sure.
It was a funny story. It was like he was walking to the room and just being like, I can't believe I'm about to meet Paul McCartney. And he walked in and kind of made eye contact, and I just looked at him, and I said, "Holy S." I don't know if I can say.
You could say,
holy,
if you want.
Holy shit! he just, that's the best I can muster up.
Right.
So I was like, and he even had a smirk on his face, like probably used to that stupid reaction, every day. I guess.
Right.
But so I was like, that's all I could come up with. So I was just so starstruck. I was like,
what was it like shooting him? Like how did that feel? Like was it nerve-wracking? Was it?
It was, yeah. No, definitely. It was like, growing up with the Beatles, and here I am taking pictures of Paul McCartney. It was crazy. It was like, the same incident with the very first professional photo shoot I got sent out to shoot was with Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones and Jeff Beck. They were doing a show together, so I just had to go backstage and do a quick shot of them. And I'm like, same thing, but looking through the camera thinking, oh my God, this is one of the Rolling Stones, another one of my favorites, and Jeff Beck. And this is my first professional photo. I was like, yeah, a lot of funny. That's some funny stories. It's a time when I was in a limousine with Tina Turner, because we were on the way to a radio show, and I had to just take pictures of her at the radio station. And she was sitting across from me, and they had to stop the limo, and her manager or radio person had to get out. And she just looks at me and like taps her seat next to me, says, "Come here, baby, come sit next to me." And and another idiot move, I froze. I just like, I just like, okay, that's Tina Turner. She's telling me to come. Like, first time I saw her was in "Gimme Shelter" with the Rolling Stones. So I was like,
yeah,
kid, I was like, that's, and just amazing singer. Always one of my favorite singers. And so I kind of froze. And finally, she says, "Come on, it's okay." And then I like snapped out of it and sat next to her. So just funny stories like that. Meeting some really cool, talented people.
The picture with Sting, was that with his solo career? Was that the Police?
That was with the Police. That was actually at the first Amnesty International concert in 1986 at the Giant Stadium. I was their official photographer, so I covered the whole show, backstage stuff. I have a pretty cool photo from that I sell a lot. It's with Sting, Bryan Adams, and Bono of U2, and they're at a press conference, and they all have like just different expressions. It's on my website. It's kind of a cool shot that's one of my big
awesome.
I sell all the music photos now too. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm a diehard Police fan. I mean, I'm a diehard SRV guy.
That's one of my favorite shots.
Yeah, I mean, the Police were just so seminal for me as a creative and as an artist when I was in middle school. I literally wanted to be Stuart Copeland. Like it was bad. Like I just had the drum set up like him. I was playing traditional grip, and then the way the record sounded, as starting to dabble in music production, and when I was building my studio, it was very, very, like, just really loved the way those records sounded. So, and same thing with SRV, like the influences and the guys that you love.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool I've got the same palette
Right.
of music. So to have that opportunity to see those pictures, it's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, Stevie Ray, that's one of my all-time favorite shots that I captured. I was lucky
Yeah.
enough to photograph him and meet him. You know, just like a real humble, nice guy, but play guitar like nobody
Oh,
can.
oh yeah. I mean, he was the one that inspired me he's the one that transitioned me from drums to guitar in high school.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like, man, I don't know what the hell is going on here. I listened to his version of Little Wing. I didn't even know
Oh,
it was a Hendrix cover at the time.
right,
And there's parts on that track where it sounds like there's a pig squealing, the thing that he's doing. And it's like,
right, right.
whatever is going on here, if I'm going to learn how to play guitar, I will, come hell or high water, I'm going to figure out what's going on. And then you realize you can get really close to SRV, but nobody will ever do it like SRV.
Exactly. Yeah.
When was that picture taken? Do you remember?
That was actually, I think that was New Jersey. It was called the Meadowlands at the time. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's called now. So yeah, that's what that was for. I don't know. I was probably shooting for the record company or maybe a magazine. But
Okay.
Yeah, that's also one of my big sellers. That photo too. Yeah, just.
It's classic. I feel like I've seen it I'm sure I've seen it before I saw it on your
Right.
website.
Could be. It's in a lot of magazines. I could tell.
Yeah. Yeah. It may actually be in some of the books that I have.
It wasn't a book. I know that. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Black and white for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I for me, as a novice photographer, like I do photography and mostly for videography and filmmaking and music videos, and being an actor, you gotta, in this day and age, you have to have cameras. But I always say, like, black and white always covers a multitude of sins. I don't know if you feel the same way, but there's a real power there with black and white in a good composition. Just your thoughts on it, because I think your black and white work is stunning, as well as your color, but really sharp, really sharp.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But yeah, no, I prefer black and white too. That's the one thing I do miss about the film days, was shooting with black and white. Not, I can still do it and convert it from the digital, but the black and white film is like nothing like that. But yeah, I love whether it's capturing the musicians live or it's doing my portraits now. And I love to do black and whites if I'm shooting. I don't know if you know, I do a lot of military people. So to me, that's and to me, like, capturing them in black and white is just so emotional. Or anybody like that. I just think, or if it's a beautiful actress. Again, I go back to George Harrell. If you're familiar with him, he was that very classic black and white, old Hollywood, did all the old time actors and actresses. So I like to try to recreate that if I have an actor with an interesting face, or an actress maybe that has that old time, quality, that old time Hollywood look, I guess, or classic beauty.
Did you ever come across Brando?
No, I wish I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wish I did.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites though, so I would love to.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was thinking in the back of my head, I wonder if he has or not.
Yeah, yeah. I sometimes post on my Facebook page. I'll say, well, these are the top 10 actors or actresses from another era that I wish if I can go back in time, I'd like to photograph them. So like you have people like James Dean or Montgomery Clift, or some people like that. So yeah, so Marlon Brando definitely would be in that list.
Reading up on some of your work, obviously there's the entrepreneurial word of mouth thread.
Right.
I saw in one of your interviews from, I don't know when it was, like 8 or 10 years ago, something about, to the extent of, well, they asked, how do you build your clients? How did you build your clientele and whatnot? And your answer was really kind of twofold. Number one, internet or social media ads, but primarily it sounded like word of mouth. And the work speaks for itself for sure. Maybe for some of the younger listeners, couple words of wisdom perhaps on just your experiences as the business side of the creative.
Just promotion. You got to promote yourself. You got to, like, always, with social media, I'm always on Facebook every day. If I'm not shooting, I'm posting photos I've done that day or photos in the past. behind the scenes videos, behind the scenes photos, pictures of makeup artists at work or whatever. So people just love seeing that. And you're just continually posting, and or you'll post a photo of a client that you've done that day and tag that person. That person's friends will see it. So much social media. It's like whether it's Facebook, Instagram, I guess a little Twitter too. So it's all about promoting, and certainly word of mouth is great too. Those are the two main things for me: word of mouth and social media.
Now, in the New York City area, the tri-state area, do you have any favorite spots? I know that a lot of your work is in your studio.
Yeah, honestly, it's more than my favorite spot's in my studio.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do location, but I like to stick with what I know. I have my lighting down. I've got my kind of signature gray background. That's kind of my look, and that's what I'm comfortable with. And I can control the lighting. I don't have to worry about what the lighting's like outside. You need it to be overcast. So I'm happy in the studio. That's my favorite place.
When did you? And this is probably a ridiculous question, and I don't know how exactly to ask it, but the difference between shooting in a very, I want to say, like vibrant, random live stage format, as opposed to studio, which you have a lot of control over.
Right.
Could you expand on that? Because sometimes having that randomness is really an artistic, it can work in your favor.
Oh, definitely. But it's difficult. You gotta how to capture the lighting. I did used to prefer, when I shot the live concerts, I would prefer to shoot available light as opposed to flash on the camera, because the flash would blow out the nice stage lighting. So if you have like this great stage lighting and you can capture it, you have the right aperture and everything, you capture the lighting, so it could be a beautiful photo. Like if you see on my side a photo of Miles Davis, he's like it's all in the red light. It's very dramatic. I just posted recently one of Levon Helm, drummer of the band, and it's just like in this beautiful red, dramatic lighting. So if you can capture the way the lighting is on stage, that's to me the best way to capture a concert or performance.
Yeah,
it's tricky. It takes a lot of practice. You get not as easy as it looks.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And that migration from it's lighting. It'll make or break.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll really make or break that. And I think the expression when you're working with a subject or whatever's going on, you know.
And I think I was able to capture the music shots because maybe I appreciate the music so much. So I think that helps me to really know when to snap the shutter. Capture that moment.
Yeah, so much. So yeah, it's definitely a timing thing. The film versus digital for you. I know that digital is much easier of a medium.
Yeah, and I love it. Yeah, so I said maybe the only thing I miss with film is the black and white, but still, the black and white can look great with digital, and I just love it. It's quick, it's the quality is great now. I love to be able to give my clients photos 10 minutes after our photo shoot.
Right.
If it's had shots, and I just love digital. So yeah, I don't miss the film days of waiting 3 days for a contact sheet and having to make prints, so.
For sure. I usually ask this question, and I think you'll be a good candidate for it with all of the experience and the Rolodex of
Right.
Best and worst photo shoots. You can keep names anonymous, like that. That's fine, but just going to throw that curveball at you real quick.
I go again back to McCartney. That's probably the most exciting music-wise. Again, lately, it used to be. It's funny. I say when I was starting out my career, it was exciting for me to meet whether it's McCartney or love to meet Mick Jagger, just all the rock and roll guys, the Who, whatever. And for me, I've been so into shooting heroes, like military heroes. So that's what I get excited about these days. I shoot a lot of people like Navy SEALs, and I photograph them because maybe they're speakers or they're on TV appearances, so they need photos. So any of those guys that come in, or to me, that's like the most exciting because it's just really like heroes, I guess. So that's who I really admire. So that's exciting for me. I guess it's funny. I used to shoot. I had some funny experiences. When I started shooting portraits, I shot for soap operas, when they were big in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those people were great. The actors were great, but some of them were very almost like stereotypical of like very corny, like over the top actors, and think they're like thought they were Marlon Brando maybe, and just had a real attitude. It's like, I could probably get in more detail, but I won't. But it's like
right.
Sometimes there were some funny stories with that.
Yeah.
There's a famous guitar player who I really didn't like, and he was in a band, a very big rock and roll. I won't mention his name. And it's like a band that I never admired. I never liked. They were very famous, and people loved them. I don't like him, but he just had such a horrible attitude, and he was treating people around him like shit. It's like, just like it's like I felt like saying, "You're not Eric Clapton. Shut up." It's like, so I've had, but for the most part, I've been lucky. I really meet some great clients. Whether it's actors, musicians, military, police. I do a lot of corporate, doctors, attorneys. So I get great people. I get great people all the time. So it's very rare that I get somebody that's hard, difficult to deal with.
Well, talking about Clapton real quick, do you have any like top 3 to 5? I'm sure Jeff Beck and everybody, but just SRV beyond those guys. Any other ones that have just been kind of like your go-tos over the years?
Oh, definitely. Guitar players?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I'd say I've always been back and forth. My number one is between Jimmy Page, Duane Allman. Those are my top 2. I love Page.
Good company.
I love them. But I love Clapton. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's definitely probably in the top 5.
Yeah.
Hendrix, of course. I just recently saw, there was a great documentary. I think he's one of the most underrated guitar players, Robbie Robertson of the band. And they just came out with a new documentary. I forgot what it's called. Something Brothers. But anyway, you get to must see. If you haven't seen you have to see The Last Waltz, of course. But then there's a new documentary about the band, and it just shows what a great guitar player he is, and how influential. A lot of people don't realize how influential he was to rock music. Love George Harrison, Keith Richards. So so possible to stick to 3. I already went over.
I know. What about albums for you, or maybe even more specifically, like we'll say this: albums, a few albums, and then like 1 to 2 Beatles albums, because it's impossible.
I was going to say, you might as well just say all the Beatles albums.
Right.
But then all the like the Stones, there's Let It Bleed, Exile on Main Street. The Who. Tommy was one of the first albums I got into. My older brother, turned me on to Tommy like in probably the year it came out. Who's Next? Live stuff like Live at Leeds, or the Stones, Get Your Ya-Ya's out. I love the Older Brothers, Fillmore East album, Leonard Skinner. I love. I grew up with a good time in the '70s, so we had a wide variety of amazing music, and not just the rock and roll. Or we had like songs in the key of life. Stevie Wonder was an amazing album for me. Sly and the Family Stone was such a big influence. David Bowie. So it's kind of wide, wide variety. So there's just so many great stuff.
I saw the picture of Bowie. That's fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a good fun shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another example of kind of capturing the lighting.
Yeah.
The stage.
And I think it's really interesting because a lot of people don't know about the Stevie Ray Vaughan and Bowie relationship in the early days. Like who knows if Stevie really would have had the budget and the backing if it wasn't for Bowie kind of pairing him up in those early days with one of his engineers or something. And
I think wasn't he supposed to do? He might have even been supposed to have done that tour that I actually photographed. I don't know if it was a Glass Spiders tour, but
yeah,
he was shut him down, I believe, because he just wanted to do his own thing.
Somebody's probably going to bitch me out online about this, but if I remember correctly, they did a couple of shows with Bowie. Well, what was going on was Stevie was going to be Bowie's guitar player on the tour. Right. But the caveat was, like, management-wise, that Stevie was going to have – that Double Trouble was going to have an opening slot. But something fell through, and for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out because Stevie didn't want to be stuck with which kind of was like, man, I don't even know how he would make that decision. Yeah.
Confidence. You can turn down a tour with Bowie. It's like, no, I'll do it. I'll make it on my own. It's like,
but he did. So whatever.
It was a smart move, but
yeah. And I don't know if I have that story 100% accurate. I remember reading like a 1,000-page biography on SRV, and that was like in '83, like Texas flood era. That was right when that was going on.
Right. And I think didn't Bowie play on was it the Bowie album? I mean,
He
Stevie Ray
played on
played
Let's Dance.
Yeah, Let's Dance.
He
Right.
played on that track. I don't know if he played on the whole record, but
Right. Okay. I
maybe he
think
did.
Yeah.
Again,
Which is
I'm
an
not.
unusual track for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that kind of launched his career. It just shows you how important it is to collaborate. I mean, because even as SRV being SRV, that really, if it's kind of, I'd never even thought about that. Like that really is what kind of brought him to the next
Yeah,
level.
definitely. Yeah, no, definitely, no question.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah.
Social media for you, and I know this is kind of a touchy subject, but listen, like you can go into as much or little detail as you want. I know that there's certain things about social media. Just curious to hear your thoughts on kind of what's going on these days. It's a really strange time. And again, you don't have to go into crazy detail. I just your thoughts on what's going on with COVID and the whole thing.
Oh, well, I'm not an expert on it, but it's just all I know is I think we all have to get back to work soon. It's a horrible disease, and
yeah,
terrible that people are dying and getting sick. I think I'm not an expert, but I think we're at the point where now we have to kind of get back to work because I think poverty will bring far worse disaster, more death, whether it's suicides, people losing their business, losing their jobs. I've already heard of a few people that I know who know people.
The service industry, especially, it's just I don't even know how you could bounce back after this.
I don't know. Just so many industries. Just
yeah.
Just anybody who owns their own business, like myself. Hoping to hold on to my studio. I think I will, but it just, it causes the stress. People can have heart attacks. People can stress and anxiety can lead to cancer. There's physical abuse in the home now, alcoholism, drug addiction. That's all going to rise. So you have to think of the trade-off. It's like just not a good choice, basically. It just hopefully it's going to die down by the summer. And one thing I am sick of hearing is people say it's going to be a new normal, which I think that's such a pessimistic way to look at it. I don't think there's going to be. I think we're just going to be back to normal. Well, I think it'll be new normal. We're Americans. We're strong. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get back to normal. Once this sort of dies down, I think we're gonna be good. I mean, we can't be wearing face masks for the rest of our lives, especially. And I know my clients can't when I'm doing headshots. So that won't work. Well, I just hope we're back to normal within the next few months.
Yeah, me too. And I think that was very eloquently put. And real quick, last, kind of just throwing it at you, but faith. Any thoughts on that in your career and life in general? Just any words on that.
On faith?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I believe that's, kind of, I pray when I need to, and I believe in it for sure. Just I don't know if I have a lot to say, but I definitely that's like a personal thing. But yeah, I believe.
Of course.
Sure. No, I definitely believe, and that's a personal choice. And it's funny. I so many of my friends are very much into faith and believing in God, and it seems like they're such nice people. Once it's like, I'm not saying I have friends that are atheists too. They're nice too, but it just seems like, I don't know, people with faith just seems like it just. I almost would. I kind of admire them, the people who have it more than I do, because they really have such a strong belief. It's like, they just seem like such great, like happy people. I just love that. I love being around them too. It's like I want more of that to rub off on me too. It's like I wish I had that much. I do have it, but maybe not as much as some other people do.
Well, it's. I just thought I'd ask the question. It's always I always just throw it out kind of like towards the end, just see where people.
Good question.
Yeah. So real quick, I've got a little thing that I do where I just say it's kind of like a popcorn round. I literally just say one word and you just like fire a word back that's industry related. And let's just see. I know I'm gonna lose this, so it's like I already know you're totally gonna just volley right back.
So I come back with one word?
You can, or whatever. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
Lighting.
Dramatic.
Yes, I'm already losing. That's just fantastic. Contrast.
Black and white.
Travel.
Nashville.
Ah, cool.
That's where I like to. I shoot there once a year, and I just love it there. So first thing to get in my mind, yeah.
Headshot.
Barry Morgenstein.
Oh, you keep man. This is great. Portrait.
George Harrell.
Landscape.
Ansel Adams.
Man, yeah, I'm totally losing this. Camera.
Canon. That's what I use.
Editing.
I hire people to do that.
Yeah. Black and white.
My favorite.
Awesome. Aperture.
Bracketing. I like to bracket. I try different apertures when I'm shooting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I kind of go back and forth between two apertures, basically.
Are you usually? I don't think, from what I've seen, you're not wide open. Like, your work usually is not, from what I've seen. I could be wrong, but
in some cases I am. I like to blow out a little bit in some cases. It depends. Okay. I do like that. But if I'm going for the dramatic look, no, then I'll shut down. And
right.
Look, maybe one light, and then I'll close down more. But if I'm shooting I want to get a flattering headshot, if I have an actress or a model, maybe I may open up a little more. It makes the skin very soft looking.
Yeah.
And it works with my lighting.
Yeah, I've screwed around with the 50 millimeter with 1.8, one of those Canon standard,
Yeah.
And I mean, when you nail it, that thing's got to look. I mean, you've got to nail it. What you want in focus has got to be in focus. But when you get it, it's whoa, it's really striking.
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Home.
New York.
Work. That's where my studio is. Yeah.
Yeah. Last one. Pizza.
Pepperoni.
Oh yeah, this is it's perfect answers. Great.
Very cool. Appreciate it.
One last question for you, and I ask this to everybody, which is, if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell them?
Don't listen to negative people. I had so many people say to me, don't do photography. There's so much competition. Well, actually, I guess I don't have to go back because I didn't listen then either. So I was pretty stubborn kid. So I was when I started, it was my late teens. But yeah, I would go don't. Actually, my best advice is know when to take good advice, and also know when to ignore bad advice.
Right.
So that would be what I tell young people.
That's great.
And just don't be discouraged. Actually, yeah, true. Another thing is you'll get rejection. Like an actor or a musician will get rejection. They told Elvis to go back to truck driving. It's a good thing he didn't listen, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So people, I used to show. I would go around, show my portfolio. If you have time for this quick story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had my portfolio, and I went to, it was, I think, CBS TV. It was a publicity department. Showed this woman, big shot, at the TV station. She flipped through my portfolio. It was very early on, and she looked me in the eye and said, "I wouldn't hire you." It's I'm like, oh, okay. She just was not impressed. I mean, she was a little blunt, pretty rude too.
Yeah.
And I was pretty upset. But I could have. Some people would have folded maybe then. So okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I kind of just said, well, I know I'm good, and I keep doing this. I don't care what you. Somebody's going to recognize it, and luckily some people did.
Well, yeah, we had another guest on. We've had many guests on. I'm trying to remember which one it was, who it was.
Right.
But we were talking about Lennon and McCartney, and somebody said, I don't know, you probably already know what the quote is, but Lennon is well, the reason why so many people don't make it is because they quit right before they actually make it.
Yeah, that's probably, I've never heard that one. I know a lot of his quotes, but that one I never heard.
I'm paraphrasing, but
yeah, but that's right though. He's right.
Yeah, and it really struck me because,
and they were turned down a lot too by record companies. Don't forget. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember. Did you ever see that kind of docu movie on them where it was during the Pete Best days?
I mean, I've seen 100 documentaries on them. I'm not sure which one. I probably know the story.
I don't know if it's like a movie kind of like, I don't know if it probably stopped right when they went on Ed Sullivan's. Like that's actually where the movie like ended.
I think I know what you're talking about. I forgot the name.
Yeah. They're like in the bunks and they're sleeping in some like apartment and they're playing these German clubs for 6 months straight. And it was just like really where they were developing their chops.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing story. But they did what I admire about musicians is like when I see shows like American Idol or whatever the shows, and you see somebody who and the talented people, but they'll come up and they'll sing, and then the next thing you know, they're a superstar. But like the Beatles and the Stones, they played whatever 10-hour days or 12-hour days, or and they worked and they built themselves up as musicians, and they wrote their own stuff, and they worked hard and they were on tour, and just like it was almost like they paid their dues, I guess. So I admire that,
Yeah.
So, but
to me, and same thing. Like, and you can attest to this far more than me, because you've just been in the game a lot longer. But as far as having that stick-to-itiveness and really cultivating your craft, there's no better feeling than to know you can walk into a room, completely hold your own, stand toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody. Do so nicely, obviously, like, but just be able to come in and have a presence, have a story, have something to do, have something to say, and do it on a standard of excellence.
Right.
And having not really taken the shortcuts.
Right. Yeah. No, it took a while. It takes it took a lot of rejections, a lot of struggling, until I really found my niche, I guess, is the headshots. That's gonna that's where so, yeah. So it's a good feeling after a lot of years of hard work and I guess making it. So.
Well, I'm glad you stuck with it because I get to have the privilege to have you here, and we get to enjoy all the moments you've captured over the years. And do you have any last words?
No, I'm just anxious to get back to work. I just hope this whole crisis stops for everybody. For me, for everybody wants to get back to work, and I just love what I do. I actually went to my studio today for the first time in over a month just to pick up mail, but I walked in and it was just a night. I said, I miss this place. I want to get back here. I miss the people coming in, miss the great clients, my great makeup artists, assistants. So I just hope for everybody's sake we're all back to normal soon. Not the new normal, but normal.
Right. Well, real quick, tell everybody where they can find you. We'll have it all in the description boxes below or to the sides, wherever people are watching or listening. But
I guess my biggest presence is on Facebook. You just look up my name. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I have my website, barrymorgenstein.com. If you Google my name, you'll find the studio address, the number, if you want to book a shoot. So, but yeah, I'm all over the social media. That's send me a message on Facebook, friend me, whatever. So, yeah.
He answers, ladies and gentlemen. He answers.
Oh yeah, right.
Unlike other people out there, not gonna name any names, but it's good. It's good to own a company and still talk with your clients.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's the best part. I love. Again, it's a wide variety of people I meet, so I love meeting different types of people.
Well, this has been great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Great meeting you.
This is the Jason Damico Show. You guys have been watching, listening to, and check out the description box material. Be sure to subscribe to this channel or wherever it is, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, wherever you're listening. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.